All right, everyone. Welcome to today's charting session. Sa mga hindi pa po nakakaalam, what we do here is we typically look at either yung mga trending names, and by that, I mean yung mga pangalan na maaaring malaki yung ginalaw, whether to the upside or to the downside, or perhaps malaki yung value traded, or generally speaking, mas minamatahan lang po ng mga tao. Also, tumatanggap din po tayo ng mga chart requests. So kung meron po kayong mga requests, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Let's start off with ACEX, no? Now, itong ACEX, we have pulled down lower, diba? Talagang matindi yung pagbaba niya. And essentially, binalikan na natin tong range na to from before. Now, the range, depending on how you look at it, can either be from 14.8 hanggang 17.8 or from 15.5 hanggang 17.8. Okay, for me, again, personally, I always look at things like these in terms of areas. So, I'll be watching this area beneath. Kung mabasag tayo to the downside, test underneath, hold, push lower, then ang next potential scenario natin, syempre unang-una is ma-fill tong gap na naiwan natin from before. Next is baka mabalikan natin tong mga lows na to at itong gap na to na naiwan natin nung 2020. Okay? Yung bullish scenario is a little bit trickier. Normally, I would say break above tong 17.8, then baka mag-range trade tayo within this area, possibly filling this gap, diba? And that's still true. That holds true, no? Pero I wouldn't be bullish still in that scenario. Dahil ang laki ng binaksak natin, what I want to see para maging mas bullish ulit yung view ko dito sa ACEX is for us to reclaim tong 25 pesos na area. If we can reclaim tong 25 pesos, then obviously, merong structural shift na naganap. Diba? May nagbago sa market structure. So since may nagbago sa market structure, meron tayong mas pwedeng tignan at bantayan moving forward to try and see if there's a trade to be had dito sa ACEX. Until then, okay, hanggang mangyari yon, for me, at best, makakahanap lang tayo dito ng mga range trades, maybe from one segment to the next. Nothing too exciting, no guarantee that something sets up. A lot of it will be probably yung mga high risk, low reward type of trades. So, konting ingat-ingat lang po kasi obvious naman na bearish pa rin yung overall trend natin dito sa ACEX, at least in the short to mid-term. Next, tignan natin tong DoubleDragon, no? So, tong DoubleDragon, since we last looked at it, technically, wala pa rin pong nangyayari. We are still ranging within this range here. So, that's between 8.4 hanggang 9.28. Now, given that, ano yung mga scenarios na pwede natin tingnan dito po sa DD? Now, if we can trade above tong 9.28, then that opens up this range here, papunta po ng 10 pesos, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, yung 10 pesos is a decent inflection point. It has acted as support here, support here, support here, support here, support here, support here, and so on, no? Also, nung paangat tayo, ganun din. Siya rin yung nag-act as support na, resistance natin along the way. So, if price comes back down, tapos ito, basagin niya yung 9.28, and then it comes back up to 10 pesos, hindi po nakakagulat kung makahanap tayo ng some type of reaction from there. Now, wala pa rin pong nagbabago, hindi pa rin tapos yung buyback program ng DD as far as I know. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, no? Now, yung bearish scenario naman po natin is if we break beneath tong 8.4, then highly likely we will come back to trade within this range below from 7.44 to 8.4. Now, as we always say, tradable range naman yon. But whether or not something sets up remains to be seen dito sa DD. Next, silipin po natin yung FGEN. Now, for the longest time, FGEN was trading within this range above, no? Yes, may konting lagpas here and there, but by and large, kita nyo naman that we were trading within this range here. Now, I have a student, shout out sa kanya, who was trading this range successfully, no? Unfortunately, hindi na nag-hold yung range na yan and we began to break down. The breakdown happened in earnest after we broke itong low na to dito at 26 pesos. Nagkaroon tayo ng strong pull pababa. price bounce, binalikan natin tong area na to. Okay, bakit important tong 26.9? Kasi again, it's a decent inflection point acting as resistance here, support there, support here, resistance there, no? So again, we found the reaction there and then we push lower. So ngayon ang tinitingnan natin, ito bang nagpo-form na to is a potential lower high na naman, 'di ba? It's possible, no? Pero hindi natin masabi pa ng tapos kasi wala pang nagaganap na lower low. Now, let me zoom in a bit. Nag-zoom out lang ako just to show these areas, no? So, what are we watching out for dito sa FGEN? Yung bullish scenario for me, again, it's not so clear-cut. Para sa akin, pinakamalinaw siguro if we can break above tong 28.5 na level. So 28 to 28.5, if we can break above that, hold, push higher, then that should be a bullish signal na baka balikan natin tong wider range above, no? Yung bearish, mas maraming pwede tayong tignan. Kapag mabasag to the downside, meaning we break beneath 24, then highly likely babalikan natin yung parang range na nagpo-form dito between 22.85 to 24 pesos. But that might be short-lived. Baka hindi magtagal yung support na 22.85, and if mabasag yon, then baka 22 pesos or 22.10 na yung balikan natin next. Okay? Charts like this are always a bit tricky, no? Kasi sometimes we have this tendency na gusto natin makasalo tayo lagi sa baba. And mahirap talaga siya eh. Lalo na kapag ganito yung itsura ng chart mo. Wala kang paghihintayan eh. Diba? Pwede mong sabihin na, kung maghintay ako dito sa support at 22.85, pero walang clear-cut na strong na level na nakikita ko dito sa baba hanggang umabot tayo ng 22.10 eh. And even then, it's still not the world's best level. Yes, it's still an inflection point if you look at it here and here, no? And here. But hindi siya kasing tatag na parang ganito, yung ang dami mong nakita. Kaya nag-hold din yan for the longest time eh. 'Di ba? So, it's not super clear-cut what to do dito sa FGEN. For me, pangsamantala, mas maganda iwas na lang siguro muna. Hintayin natin na mas may mabuong magandang structure dito before jumping in again, rather than trying to force the issue and enter prematurely only to find ourselves in drawdown sooner rather than later. Next, tignan po natin yung MBT, no? Now, tong MBT, as we discussed before, it was holding here around 57.10, di ba? When we broke beneath it, eventually we broke down, came back up, tagged the same area, more or less, kamapos lang ng konti, and then now we've rolled over. Now, the way that I'm looking at this, since medyo may pagka-choppy yung chart niya, meaning patalon-talon yung price all over the place, diba? Tumulan tayo dito, tas let me zoom in. Tumulan tayo dyan, gap down, tapos tumaas tayo, pitik, may malalaking candle, may maliliit, medyo magulo, no? Walang clarity. So, I laid out this yellow line, which is essentially the midway between etong high ng range natin at 57.10 and yung low at 55.5. Okay? So, a simplistic way to look at this is as long as we stay above tong 53.75, then may decent chance for price to push up and break above 57.10 sooner rather than later para mabalikan natin tong range na to. Kung nag-trade naman tayo beneath 53.75, then baka yung mangyari next is balikan natin yung support at 50.55. And if that breaks, then yung next na pwede nating maging support is around 47. Okay? However, as I said, that's a very simplistic way to look at it, no? If you really look at yung structure, what can we see? Essentially, ang nangyayari dito is nagbuo tayo ng range here. Price tried to push higher, kinapos, broke down, broke beneath this low. So essentially, sa lower time frame at least, nag-form ka ng lower high and lower low. So maaaring na nagpo-form tayo na structure sa lower time frames, which we don't really look at sa mga charting sessions natin, no? That pushes up, forms another area there, then pushes down beneath tong 53.75 na midway. Tapos from there, we start working our way back dito na nga sa 50.55 na area. Okay? So medyo nag-iingat din ako dito sa MBT because the structure itself is not looking great. Dapat, ideally, after nung nag-range tayo beneath nitong resistance na to, di ba? May support, turn resistance. Ideally, what we wanted to see was mag-break above ulit, come back, hold, then push higher na para mabalikan natin tong range na to eh. Okay? So ngayon na nagtulak tayo pababa, we need to start thinking, ayaw na ba niya? Kasi even if you disregard yung sinabi ko na baka lower time frame may structure, etong time frame mismo, pinapakita natin na may high, low, potential lower high na ba yan? Para mag-confirm, we need to see price break beneath tong 50.55 para makita natin yung lower low. Pagka ganon, diba, hindi na natin isipin, mag-range ba yan dito? Mag-hold ba yung midway or whatever? Wala na. Pagka ganyan, understood na sa short to mid-term at least, balik muna tayo sa pagda-downtrend. And then finally, tignan po natin yung EMP, no? Now, itong EMP, I was telling some students na to trade the bounce trade here, my maximum target would have been itong 15.18. And I would have gotten out around this candle here. Ito, isa sa mga tatlong to. Kasi ang lapit na niya sa target, pero you couldn't move your stop up. Alanganin eh. Diba? Structurally speaking, parang hindi siya nag-bounce ng sobrang lakas in the sense na hindi parang ganito yung candle niya. Pero nag-bounce siya. Gumalaw siya to the upside. So hindi ko magalaw yung stop ko. And because hindi ko magagalaw yung stop ko nun, I would have gotten out in one of these three candles. Kasi nga, ang lapit na niya doon sa target. Now, what happened was, from there, nabitin nga tayo ng konti. In fact, our high was 14.96. So, that's 22 cents shy of the target. Okay? Tapos, nag-rollback na tayo. After nung rollback na yun, ano na ba yung nangyari dito sa EMP? Essentially, nag-range lang tayo dito. Now, you can look at this range in one of two ways. You can think of it as etong malaking range na to, between 13.28 hanggang 15.18. Or, pwede mong sabihin na, eto, maliit lang yung range na gusto ko tingnan, mas aggressive ka. However, regardless of how you look at it, you need to consider from a risk-reward perspective if there's something worth trading dito sa EMP. Para sa akin, etong 15.18 still stands. Meaning, kahit na mag-breakout tayo dito sa pinakamaliit na range na to and abutin natin yan, I still think we might react from there. Whether we react weakly or strongly, hindi ko pa masasabi. Siyempre, no one knows eh. In fact, pwede namang walang reaction, it could just blast through. Pero dahil I put weight on this level, regardless of whether or not I want to think of this as a range trade na ganito, or i-consider ko tong tighter range lang, then there won't be anything in it for me simply because the risk-reward wouldn't be worth it. Okay? Kahit kasi sabihin natin, i-stop out mo dito, napakaalanganin eh. The reason why I couldn't move my stop up before is the same reason why hindi ko siya kayang i-trade ng ganito. Kasi para sa akin, hindi pa rin maganda yung stop placement sa level na yan. Alright? Now, let's say ang mangyari was we break down beneath nitong 13.28. Then, I think what happens next is we revisit tong 12.2 to 12 pesos na area. Okay? In fact, baabalikan pa natin tong mga lows na to at 11.7. Kung pati yung 11.7 mabasag, then the next level we could come back to is itong area of consolidation na to from before. Kung baliktad naman yung mangyari, let's say na paano kung nag-break tayo to the upside? We break above tong 15.18. Then yes, that could open up this range above between 15.18 hanggang 16.48. And if 16.48 breaks, possibly yung next level natin of resistance is 17.54. As you can see, itong 17.54 has acted as a very decent inflection point along the way. So, hindi nakaagulat na kung mabasag man tong 16.48 ay makahanap tayo ng some type of reaction if we get to 17.54. For now though, okay, for now, I feel like EMP is in no man's land. Okay, in the middle of nowhere. There's no sense getting into a trade from here and let's say na bumili ka at hindi ka nag-take ng targets, hindi mo, kumbaga, hindi ka naglabas ng pera nung na-hit yung target mo, or kunyari hindi pa na-hit yung target mo, then wala ka ring magagawa other than maghintay. Kasi wala talagang nangyayari. Diba? Price hasn't really done anything for the past 2 weeks eh. And I don't expect it to do anything this week either. Yes, there could be a strong sell-off tomorrow kasi magkakaroon tayo ng long weekend, and that might disrupt tong maliit na range na nag-perform. But by and large, I don't expect anything drastic to happen. Yung tipong babasagin niya lahat ng levels na ito pababa. I don't see that happening. It could happen. Syempre, wala naman tayo control sa market. But I don't expect it to. And I feel like kahit balikan natin to next week or the week after, ganito pa rin sasabihin natin na nag-hold lang tayo essentially in this tighter range or in this wider range, and wala pa rin nangyayari sa EMP. If that changes, pag-uusapan natin to agad. But until then, baka ipahinga ko muna to sa rotation, no? Hintayin muna natin na may mangyari para may mapag-usapan tayo na mas definitive at mas malaman. So guys, dito po nagtatapos yung video natin, no? I hope nakatulong po to sa inyo kahit konti, and may natutunan kayo kahit papano. And if so, I would really appreciate it if you give this video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And as always guys, maraming salamat po sa panonood. I really appreciate it. Good luck and happy trading!